Hello one and all, it's me, famous entrepreneur and infamous soy boy Armored Otter, aka your actual biological uncle. I am showing up to your house unannounced for Thanksgiving, but also I'm giving you a brand new Grim Dawn build, so it's like a wash. Before we dive on in, nearly 90% of all people who watch my videos are not subscribed, so click my button. Please. Martha left me, my dog Rufus stole my job, and I just found out that my favorite show, The Sopranos, has ended. YouTube subscribers are all I have. Anyways, let's just do the damn thing. Today we're talking about Vitality Primal Strike Conjurer, a build that seeks to become unkillable by converting a ton of attack damage to health. With a massive 42% attack damage converted to health, as well as a slew of damage resistances from the Occultist tree, you are pretty much invincible as long as you're attacking something. The cleave damage from Primal Strike gives you wonderful AoE, which makes dealing with trash an absolute breeze. Where this build falters a bit is single target damage. You should be able to stand and fight most any boss or pack in the game, but it might just take a while. The best set for this build, in my opinion, is the Dark One set. Those of you who are familiar with Grim Dawn might say, wait a second bucko, isn't there an entire set based around Vitality Damage Primal Strike named Rotgeist? Why aren't you using that? Hey, good point, Jimmy. The reason I'm not using that set is because it's wet, hot garbage that's been left out in the sun. While using Rotgeist might give us a bit more DPS, we'll be much more fragile, as it will be really hard to get our defensive ability to a place where we're not consistently getting crit. On the other hand, the Dark One set gives us much more defensive and offensive ability scaling, and a proc that will help us stay in the fight and keep on spamming our Primal Strike. Other notable items here are the two-piece mythical Wild Blood set, namely the Wild Blood Crusher and the Wild Blood Girdle, so we can make use of the flat vitality damage and attack speed as well as the 2-set bonus, which gives us a healthy chunk of offensive ability. Finally, the piece that pulls this build together is the Rylock mark, which will convert all of our lightning damage from Primal Strike into flat vitality damage, as well as give it a huge flat vitality damage bonus. For prefixes, I like Dreadlords for the bonus attack damage converted to health, as well as flat vitality damage. For suffixes, Of the Drangul can help our build with its poor offensive ability scaling, but in general we like anything with defensive stats or vitality damage. The key devotions for this build are of course Ratosh for the Vitality Resistance Shred proc, Dying God for the insane vitality damage, attack speed, and crit damage buff, Kraken for the massive chunk of raw stats that are great for any two-handed build, including 20% attack speed, 15% crit damage, and 4% physical resistance, Revenant for a necessary source of flat resistance reduction, Bat for more health sustain and AoE damage, and finally Ghoul for its great pseudo-circuit breaker. In the Occultist tree, we take 50 out of 50 points to reach possession at the end of the tree, which gives us a massive 16% damage absorption as well as scaling vitality damage. Soleil's Witchfire and Second Rate give us massive flat and scaling vitality damage as well as attack speed. We of course overcap both Blood of Dreeg and Aspect of the Guardian, mostly for the offensive ability and physical resistance, but the scaling vitality damage and the on-demand heal are always very nice. Bloody Pox is more than just a devotion procer in this build, as the Dark One set makes Pox shred target damage dealt, making it an amazing 2-point utility spell. Finally, Curse of Frailty gets a single point when we soft cap vulnerability to shred vitality resistance and defensive ability. In the Shaman tree, we invest 40 points to unlock the massively powerful Blood Pact node, which gives us a ton of flat and scaling vitality damage, as well as 9% attack damage converted to health. While we only put 1 point into Wendigo Totem, our gear scales out all the way up to 15 points, making it an incredibly efficient single point, offering us sustained DPS and even healing when we're not hitting anything. We overcap the entire Primal Strike line, making sure to grab the modifier, which will allow us to spam it with no cooldown. Brute Force is a free 1000 health simply for wielding a two-handed weapon, which will get scaled even further by Heart of the Wild. Oak Skin is a wonderful all-around defensive investment, nabbing us a smattering of pierced and aether resistance as well as flat armor and defensive ability. Last but definitely not least is Insect Swarm, the single strongest source of vitality resistance reduction in the game. When leveling this build, I suggest starting with a strong investment in Insect Swarm, a one-stop shop for AoE damage and sustain. To capitalize on the resistance reduction, Grasping Vines makes an excellent follow-through ability. If you're struggling with mana regen early on, a few points in a Mogdragon's Pact can curb that considerably. Later down the line, Wendigo Totem is a great source of AoE vitality damage and will hold your hand so you never ever die, while the Entangling Vines nodes adds a sharp increase to your vitality damage over time, as well as some much needed CC so you can keep your distance. Finally, Heart of the Wild and Oak Skin will make you very resilient when paired with your sustain. The key to playing this build effectively is to actively cycle your spells in downtime or on new packs of enemies. Both your Bloody Pox and Wendigo Totem shred a cumulative 24% damage from enemies, so make sure your Bloody Pox is working its way through enemies and your Wendigo Totem is cast every cooldown. Be wary of enemies that can stun or slow you, as the biggest weakness of this build is being prevented from attacking, which is why I use a well-rolled Kaizen's Eldritch Eye. This build is capable of full clearing Gladiator 150 to 170 in about 10 minutes, a Deathless Shattered Realm 75 to 76, and clearing most in-game Celestial bosses. Well, gang, that's it for this build video. If you enjoyed the build and you want to see more, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more content. This build was suggested by Armored Otter Discord user Dr. Killbrew. If you want to help with the next build or even steer what I play on stream at twitch.tv/armoredotter, then join the Discord, link in the description.